Hey everybody, welcome. This is Ryan Perry with Simple Biz Support, and of course I have Logan Monday with Logan Monday AI. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey Ryan, good to talk to you. It's Friday and I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah. Always excited to have a chat with you. We always have, well, one, we always go off the rails. There's always, because there's so much. So we're going to try and contain it. But I did want to tell you, I was listening to a podcast the other day with Stunspot, who is he's one of the first guys when I got his prompt, it just looked Greek to me. I'll share it later on. I sent it to you and I said, do you understand any of this? And you were kind of blown away about it.
I remember that.
What I found really interesting about it is the gentleman, Stunspot is his Discord name. He's got his own Discord channel. I highly recommend checking it out. He was talking about the fact that he is not a programmer and that you really don't need to be a programmer when dealing with Chat GPT specifically, because it is a large language model. And he goes, language is built right into the model. So you need to communicate to it using language, not programming code. Yes, you can. And there's a lot of cool things. But he goes, I'm not a programmer. And he does some crazy things. Two things that I thought were really interesting out of that podcast was, one, he's starting to incorporate a lot of emojis into his prompts because the language model knows and discerns what that means. Because it's got all this history of people using emojis, it's got that sense or feel or understanding of what it is. And he goes, when you use them, you're actually giving the Chat GTP or whatever you're using a lot of context now that you don't have to write out.
Right.
Which I was like, that is pretty cool. The other thing that I really thought was interesting, because one of the first people I started following on the CEO content writing side of using ChatGTP specifically was a gentleman, and he's just, in his room doing his thing, nothing fancy. And people started harassing him because he wouldn't say please or thank you or anything like that. So on his videos, he'd be all, thank you, ChatGTP, just so people don't get mad at me. Well, Sunspot was saying that because it is a language model, you're actually, whatever you put in is kind of a reflection of what it's going to give out. And so by putting in, hey, that was a really good job. Would you mind doing this? Could you please? Those types of things. It could actually affect the results of what you get back. Now, not that Chat GTP is going, oh, that guy's so I'm not going to give him good quality stuff. But because it is a language model, it is basically reflecting back what you give it. And I was like, that's really interesting. So I'm kind of testing that and seeing, if I'm more direct, if you will, versus, hey, that was really good, or could you do that? Will it have any nuance or change to it?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something that I've been working on with my interaction with ChatGPT as well. And what I've noticed is that I like to give it a number value for how well or how not accurate it was for what I asked. And then I'll say, like, okay, so this is 70% good. The 30% that I don't like is, and then I'll tell it. So it comes back to my core philosophy of thinking of AI as an assistant.
Right.
And that's how I talk to it and engage with it. And what I noticed is that now, after doing it for about 6 to 8 months, no, 10 months. Is it 10 months already?
It's been a while.
Since early December. Wow. And so what I've noticed is that its tone is nearly identical to mine now in that chat for that for my business. And it's a little like looking into a mirror at times, because it says something and I'm like, that's pretty much what I was thinking.
Right. Interesting. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things, but we wanted to give people a practical use case kind of scenario on how to use Chat GTP. So should we just dive into that PowerPoint now? And you've got some great examples of, kind of how you can interface and start a conversation that will help your business just essentially work smarter and more efficiently.
But before we, I guess, get into that, what I've got for you today and our awesome audience, Ryan, is how we're going to be making AI work for you and a couple of like practical examples. And I wanted to think about something that I spend a lot of time on. I know that you've talked about spending a lot of time on, which is brainstorming and like coming up with ideas. It seems like it never ends for having to create new things.
Right.
And so what I focused on is some brainstorming, and what that means is that brainstorming is getting easier and faster, and it's because of new improvements that have been coming out of those AI programs.
Right.
So Google Bard is ChatGPT's competitor, and they are now like fully integrated with Google Workspace.
Yes.
So it's pretty wild.
Hallelujah.
So no plugin, no Gmail plugin on ChatGPT.
Right.
And it's kind of self-explanatory, but it just means that if you go into your Google account, you sign up on bard.google.com, link it all together, you'll be able to tell Google Bard an email, it'll connect it to your Gmail, and then send it out for you right there.
Right.
Pretty remarkable.
And I think the other thing that's nice about it is the fact that Bard is current. It's up to date. So versus OpenAI, ChatGPT, it's still stuck back in, is it 2021, I believe, is the cutoff date? Yeah. So that's kind of the other key thing, is that if you want something that's modern, up to date without using plugins, Bard is going to do that versus ChatGPT, not so much.
Right. And, Bard's free. ChatGPT 4 with that paid subscription is going to be your go-to for everything up to date on that sense. Right. But not everyone can do that. And that was the next point that I wanted to bring up, was that there's been an improvement with OpenAI and their plugins. They've gotten much better. I did spend some time trying to integrate with Zapier, and it's still, I'll be honest, that user interface, like me telling it what to do and behind the scenes, it's still clunky as all get out. So it's not there yet.
Right. But when it does, it's going to be pretty intense. I know we just honesty or transparency here, folks. Our show last week didn't happen because of Zapier and Gmail. And it was after thinking about, I'm like, wonderful idea. When you were telling me about it, my eyes lit up. I was like, oh yeah, we got to do this. And then it was like, you mean I got to type in the person's email address? I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to hit the first two initials, have it auto pop up. And but once it actually does fully integrate, it's going to be pretty crazy. And I'm curious how the privacy laws are going to start, as this starts integrating into our contacts and all those types of things. It'll be interesting how that's all dealt with. But that's a whole nother thing. Let's talk about Jasper.
Yeah. So I don't know if everyone knows about Jasper. We haven't brought it up too much, but Jasper's, they've been around for years, and they really focus on copywriting and marketing workflows. And they really kind of hit like this like tipping point where before they were making, pretty good copy, and you had pretty good examples for it, and you could kind of do some workflows with it, but they've really just worked, and they've got kind of hit this tipping point where the workflows that they do, it goes automated from, create one thing and it does it all the way to the end where publish, and it's remarkable. So they're becoming seamless.
Yeah, and let me clarify if I'm wrong here, because I know Jasper is using Chat GPT as its workhorse, if you will. But basically, I guess what Jasper's doing is they're handling the prompts essentially, and they're kind of guiding you through the process. Because I haven't used Jasper, so I mean, is your input prompts of what you want as important within Jasper versus Chat GPT?
Yeah, they're important. They are important, and they're also important in that Jasper likes to give out like revisions on the side so that you can look at it and see, like, you have 3 examples, which one you want to use. But it's not connected to ChatGPT. They just took the code that's the foundation of ChatGPT, and then kind of, because it's a free code, open code, to use it for themselves. And then what they've done with it is different. And obviously, like ChatGPT is, they have billions of dollars behind them. So they're moving along at a quicker pace. And Jasper's doing great with workflows.
But I would say, but also you can be the general all be all end all kind of, Chat GTP. I can be anything and everything you want, versus Jasper's going, let's actually kind of mold and push everything in this direction so it works really well for marketing, as an example, which is, it's a brilliant idea, because I don't need to have the end all be all tool if I just need a great marketing tool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. So you got an example we're gonna kind of walk through as far as how business can actually use these tools then, correct?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So some marketing tips on brainstorming with AI. And it's like when you're trying to think of an idea, you're like sitting there typing like pen to paper, or you're just clicking on an empty screen, right? And you have no idea which one is this going to come out. So you go to one of those three that we talked about for the generative AI and say, hey, our marketing team, we're a small business. We're really focused on providing the best content for fitness, and we want to really do a new campaign. So let's think of something new here. So I just made a prompt. It was like, create creative social media content ideas for our fitness challenge campaign, right? Mm-hmm. And then ChatGPT came out with a list of ideas. All right, here's some fitness tips, motivational quotes, workout routines, success stories for it, right? Like these are ideas that people could come up with to help them get some content going. And I was just like, this took 5 seconds.
Right.
5 seconds. So what I did with that next is so you got those ideas, how do you expand it? How do you make it real? Well, choose one of them, like the fitness tips, and then just have ChatGPT or Google Bard or Jasper, expand on that. And so ChatGPT was like, here's some detailed suggestions. You can have long form content like on nutrition, exercise routines, and then recovery strategies. Like how do those fold together?
Right.
It suggested doing a one article with tips, or like a 3-article series over 2 weeks to get more people involved. And then it suggested pulling quotes from those articles as a buildup in your awareness campaign, right? So it's thinking like kind of like an accordion. How do you stretch this out to get the most bang for your buck? And then I asked for it to help with the copywriting of the content, and it suggested the hero's journey, where someone comes in, they have a struggle, they're really trying to figure out how they're going to overcome it, and then they share that, and they share tips, and using that in the article as a success. And it did this within 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I know you're just kind of sitting there yeah, I know. And I'm still blown away by it. I do this stuff every day, and I'm still blown away by it.
All right. And you haven't even put in, to take this to the next level, you could also give a lot of background. We do a lot of one-on-one coaching. Our primary target is women with young kids, as an example, who have limited time, or, in some neighborhoods, they're, women with kids who have a lot of time available. So, when you do that, your messaging is going to be uniquely different, because the individuals are in a different mind space about what they need and when they need it, which is super important. And this can do it all. I'm pointing to the screen, by the way, for those who are watching.
I never get over how mind-blowingly fast it all is. Yeah. And like you said, the more detail you give it, the more you tell it about your audience and who you're trying to connect with, the better response and you're going to get out of it.
Right.
And really, I just want people to take this and be like, oh, that's a good idea. I can do more with that. Or here's how I would change it for my business. And I think that's the best part about this, is that it's not a one size fits all. It's just kind of foundational. And then how you build it for yourself is going to change.
All right. Yeah.
And then the part that's, kind of tricky nowadays is getting that audience engagement. Everyone's getting blasted with content. So, I was like, how do we get people to get involved in this if we put time and effort into it and we care about it? So I was like, all right, ChatGPT, help me out here. And it was like, well, come up with some good polls, talk about the challenges that people overcame. You can poll people on like, what's the hardest part about having exercise as a priority in your life. And, with a young family, I'll be sure to tell you it's time, like flat out. You see those workouts in like Men's Journal where it's like 5 a.m. workout, 4 a.m. And I'm like, I need to sleep. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing over there. And then I think this one is the one that we all kind of know here in marketing or content is just, user testimonials on their success, on what they used with it, and getting them to vouch for you. That's what it's all about, is seeing success for your clients. And the point here is, I spent more time making this PowerPoint than I did getting this content from ChatGPT.
Right. Yep.
Like, the day I can tell ChatGPT, go to PowerPoint, this is my format, make my PowerPoint like this, like, it's going to be a game changer for me.
Right.
And I really just love how, like, I think you're going to talk about workflows in a minute. Like, this really shortens the amount of time where you sit around thinking of ideas about how to do something from what you want, and instead lets you get to the point where, how do we connect with our clients quicker, right?
Right.
So that you're not spending all that time away from your client, and instead you're spending more time with them.
Right. And I think also these are great. So if you have a small team or, even a large team, is okay, well, how do I motivate? How do we get them involved? Is okay, kind of go through this as a framework. But then you could ask ChatGPT, well, hey, as the marketing manager or as the, whatever it is, how can I get my team involved? And so that when you actually go to the meeting, instead of thinking, well, what could I do? We've been, especially if you've been around for a while, it's easy to kind of get stuck in a rut. This has always worked. Let's just keep on doing it. Right. But it's a great way to bring in some fresh ideas, if you will, because when you have access to something that pretty much has an infinite knowledge, there's bound to be something there that it knows that you haven't asked it. And the one thing you do want to be careful, and this is just an example here, is that when you ask basic questions, you're going to get a pretty much basic response. And one of the things we have to be careful of, regardless of how you use Chat GPT or AI in general, is that when you ask those basic questions and you get those basic responses, you got to remember there's millions of people using the same program that you're going to get the same responses. And now if everybody in the fitness industry is focused on the same 5 things as an example, you really haven't separated yourself. So, again, remember, at the end of the day, remember that you're working with humans. You want to connect with humans. Figure out what your unique selling position, your USP is. Integrate some of that unique, aspects of what you have. And I think testimonials are a great way of doing it because it kind of helps align with your motto, your company. Typically testimonials are really going to showcase where a company does well. And so I think, so these are all great. Just remember, you still have to be unique, though, in your final output. Don't just take stuff from Chat GTP and then throw it out there, because it's still going to be generic, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think of AI as like your partner again, so you're trying to boost ideas, efficiency, and like have more success. To me, it's not about like sitting in the tech all day and not being with the people who are, why you have your business in the first place. So that's what I care about. And there you go, man. Hey, that was fun. I love this. And I want to say thanks to you and your audience for taking the time to chat in with us. I know that Ryan and I kind of like riff a little bit on things. I think we're doing much better of like keeping it within the rails a little more.
Definitely. And then for people that are interested, Logan, they can find you where?
You can check the socials, especially LinkedIn, Logan-Monday, and then it's loganmondayai.com.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, I don't think we said it in the beginning, Logan is he helps people out with, business owners, businesses. How do you use AI efficiently and effectively? So if you find AI confusing because anything is an option now, and you can tell by the fast food restaurants, people order by numbers. I want a 1, a 2, a 10, whatever it is. You kind of have to really broaden your mind to use AI effectively. And since Logan actually spent a lot of years in college studying AI and talking to some of the top people in AI, there's just that contextual understanding that I think is really important if you want to get from A to B, or Z, I should say, quickly. So check them out.
Yep. Thank you so much. And
Yep.
pleasure being here. Looking forward to next week, and have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. Until next time, take care, y'all.